replica of one. I figured it was a long shot. I did find this couple that makes them for museums. They charge about $20,000 a piece, and I don't have that much money. But I did manage to gather several hundred pictures into my Creative Projects folder. I think a lot of you have folders like this. It's called Creative Projects. It really is just full-out obsession. Probably 40 gigabytes, 25,000 photos of everything I'm interested in. Rings, decoder rings, right here, that's a pistol ring. You guys have probably seen this online, just like, you know, checking the same sites. Airplane cockpits, people's workbenches, the ZF-1. Stormtrooper costumes. And I'm going to give up my geek cred. I hand drew this map of Middle Earth for myself. So one day I'm at the art store, and I'm maybe about a month after I saw the Dodo article. It might have been a year. But I'm at the art store, and I'm buying some Super Sculpey and some stuff for my kids. We're going to have a craft day at home. We're going to sit around the kitchen table and build shit. And I got all these photos that for some reason are ringing through my head while I'm in the art store. And I'm thinking, you know, I've looked at the Dodo skeleton enough, the Dodo skull enough, that I really understand its topology, I think. I've got it in my head, and maybe I could make a Dodo skull. The thing you should understand about me, though, is that I'm not a sculptor. I have never been a traditional soft sculptor. In special effects, I was what you call a hard-edge model maker. I could make towers like this all day long. Things from The Mummy, Destroyed New York from AI, parts from Terminator 3, Bicentennial Man. This kind of stuff, absolutely my bailiwick. I love hard-edged model making. When it comes to the soft stuff, dragons, faces, I leave that to the other guys. Some of my friends are the most brilliant sculptors I've ever met. It's their task. However, I understood the topology of this thing enough where I thought I could tackle it. And I found this photo, which is a hand with the skull, which gives me a size reference. So I promptly printed it out, and I kept on expanding the size until the hand matched my wife's hand, actually. It looks like a lady's hand. And then I had a size reference for the skull, and I began to gather all the rest of the photos I had, print them up to an accurate scale. And after about an hour or two, I had a reasonable facsimile of a Dodo skull. I wish I could show it to you. The problem is even though it occurred to me at the moment to take pictures of the process of my first, quote, sculpture, for some reason I was lazy and I did not take pictures. However, after about an hour, I had this Dodo skull, and the armature wire I had going around to the back of it to hold the skull up actually turned out to be perfectly placed for a vertebrae, because skeletons is another thing that I've been obsessed with over the years. I have several dozen in my collection, and if I'm in the woods and I find some vertebrae, I'm taking them home. I understood vertebrae enough to actually to know their how they work mechanically, the different parts ride upon each other, and I began to fake myself a Dodo spine. I wasn't thinking about making a full Dodo at this point. It was kind of like the only way you can clean a really messy room, I don't know if you guys have ever seen one, is to just pick up one thing at a time. You don't have to think about the whole thing, just one thing at a time, and eventually the room is clean. I was just going vertebrae by vertebrae by vertebrae, just thinking about the next one and keeping on going, adding some more wire, et cetera, until by the end of that day, I had a Dodo skull and a spine and the better part of a pelvis. So I kept going. I downloaded more pictures of Dodo skeletons, more pictures of Dodo pieces, parts. Check this guy out. I found original drawings from naturalists who visited Mauritius when the Dodos were alive. A whole Dodo foot skeleton. This guy even put it on a scanner with a ruler on it. Thank God for him. This guy too. And so finally, after about 6 weeks, I made myself a Dodo skeleton. You'll notice, I even went so far as to actually make a museum label, and I had Tap Plastics make me a museum vitrine for it. I don't have the room in my house for it, yet there it is. And it was deeply satisfying, and it also represented kind of a sea change for me, because now that I had my Dodo, all of a sudden, in my obsessions folder, in my creative projects folder, there might be something else I could make for myself that I'd never considered to make for myself, because at that point, when I was first obsessed with it, I wasn't a sculptor. And so I went back into the creative projects folder. What else could I make? And I settled upon the Maltese Falcon. And if you've never read the Maltese Falcon, you have to read it. And if you've never seen the movie The Maltese Falcon, you have to see it. I know there's Elvis people and Beatles people, and there are definitely Hammett people and